Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Great to have you on today. We will get started in just a minute. Looks like there is quite a few of you on, but we'll just give it a few minutes to get some more people in here, and then we will get going. While we're waiting for those to join, as always, if this is your first time, though, I'll go through this, but as always, for those of you who have returned, if you want to start adding your questions to the question pane of GoToWebinar right now, while we give everybody a few minutes to get in, please feel free to do that if you came with open questions, because then we can just start diving right into those as we get going. Can I give myself presenter rights, team? Because it looks like I do not have the ability to share my screen again. Perfect, thank you. All right. Okay, our attendee list is growing a little bit. We'll just give it a couple more minutes, and it looks like some of you are starting to put questions in, so that is fantastic. Once again, for those that just joined, we're just giving it a couple seconds to let people get in. Please feel free to add your questions to the question pane of GoToWebinar if you have questions that you came to today's webinar with. I'm seeing quite a few familiar names in the attendee list, so hello to everybody. All right, and Matt, I think with us having already a couple questions in here, we'll just dive in, and as people join, they can join and they can ask their questions too.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Well, welcome again, everybody. Great to have you on this month's AutoCAD Electrical meetup. So excited to have you here. Last month's was a very busy meetup, so we actually have still some lingering questions from that one that we will absolutely dive into if we run out of the questions from this active live audience, because I wanted to make sure we covered those as well. But it was awesome last month to have so many questions and so much participation. So any of you that were on last month, thank you for that. And anybody that's new, welcome for the first time. Excited to have you all here. I am Tiffany Bachmeyer. I lead the manufacturing consulting team for the Americas here at Autodesk. But today I am wearing my subject matter expert hat for AutoCAD Electrical. So I'm wearing a different hat and always happy to be able to do these webinars and continue to be able to bring you guys this open forum so that we can answer questions and help through any questions, ideas, comments, new thoughts and processes that you may have around AutoCAD Electrical. I am also joined by my esteemed colleague, I can use words, Matt Durst, who is a Vault expert, as well as data analytics expert and all things manufacturing. So Matt, feel free to say hi and introduce yourself to everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Tiffany. Like Tiffany mentioned last month, we had a lot of participation, which was really great to see. Actually, a lot of questions around Vault. So absolutely keep them coming, keep the participation healthy and active. It was a great session. So look forward to having another great session and many more to come. So thanks for having me, Tiffany.
Thanks, Matt. Oh my gosh, couldn't do it without you. And he's right. We absolutely, last month, we really got into a lot of AutoCAD Electrical plus Vault discussions, and we are happy to do that because, like I said, we have both experts on this between AutoCAD Electrical and Vault, and we often even answer questions around the EMX workflow for the side with bringing in our Inventor package as well. So nothing is off the table. We're always happy to dive into any questions that you might have. So with that said, let's actually jump into that right now. Matt, do you want to go through the first question for me?
Yeah, so, okay, last time some people had problems with drawings appearing in the project manager. They had to push refresh to get them in. There's a fix for this and the link is shared.
Ah, Trond, great to see you on here. Thank you for that. Can everybody see that? Can you guys all see the question pane with the link in that? I would hope everybody can. I don't know if that's okay. I would assume that we all can. So if for some reason you can't ping it, oh, nope, we're seeing no's. Okay, so Matt, maybe we can copy and paste that link to the chat instead, so that people have that. Thank you.
I'm gonna try to get it copied.
Perfect. Okay, that's great. Thanks, Trond. I didn't actually realize that there had been a workaround found for that. So good deal, and thanks for following up on that. Always love to have you on. All right, I will read the next one while you're doing that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is Autodesk still implementing suggestions from the ideas section of the forum for electrical? So I'm assuming you're talking about the ideas station that we have. I do know it's still actively running. I know the product team reviews it, but I'm not sure if I could tell you that they are still, I mean, for a while there, we were taking the top 10 things and that was coming out with every new release. I don't know if they're able to do that many things with every new release. I'd have to double check with the product team to see how many things they're actually implementing on that. If there are things that you're actively talking about though, that you're looking to have implemented, maybe something that you're specifically asking about, let's talk about that. I could always bring that forward to the product team, and we could see even on this forum if there's a lot of people who are interested in it and something I could bring to them directly. So good question, Matthew, and just let me know if that is what was driving that question. Let's see, what is next? Matt, I think the next one is you.
Yeah, and I just sent the link in the chat window to the entire audience. So let us know if you cannot see that link. Again, that's around the drawings not showing until the project is refreshed. So there's a fix for that in the link. Perfect. There. So the question by Mark, I believe you're referring to. So is there a way to edit the vault revision table in the model layout title block? Like some kind of command or button to edit the revision table in AutoCAD and then push that to Vault. So okay, so
I'll take the first part of that. I just saw Vault and assumed that was going to be you, Matt. So let me take it from an AutoCAD electrical standpoint, and then Matt, I'll let you take over from the Vault side of it. So you can actually edit within electrical when you create, and if I were to switch over to a title block here, any open attributes that you have, you can link to being project or drawing attributes, and you have unlimited opportunities to do this in this description area. Within the projects, you can see I can keep going hundreds and hundreds of lines. I typically tell people to, we often rev at a project level. So I would typically tell people to just do that here. You know, if I were to build this revision table up here with all the attributes that I need and just put them into that list, then I can update that and have as many attributes as I want updated back into here. That would be the core AutoCAD electrical functionality for a revision table. Now, managed from a Vault standpoint, I'm going to let Matt take that.
Yeah, so inside AutoCAD, there's actually a command VLT rev block, and this takes you into the specific revision block. It is a block, but inside the block, it's just a table. And there's a little bit of magic going on behind the scenes with this revision block that tells it, hey, I am a vault revision block. So there is a connection between that block and Vault, and this is how it's dynamically adding rows to that block, or that table, I should say, within the block. So if you run the command VLT rev block, and I'll actually provide a link to this, shows a video how to do this. You'll actually get into that block and you can edit that. There's some additional advanced stuff that you can do as well around that. Maybe you want to name it differently, or maybe you want to configure some of the columns. You know, maybe you don't use zone, rev, description, approved, date specifically in that order, or even use those names. So you can design the block a little bit differently, how you would prefer. So I'll go ahead and provide some links. There's a video showing how to go through that. So great question.
Perfect. Thanks, Matt. I think the next two were just our answers on whether or not we could see the question pane. So Brandon, it looks like you sent a, this was just a follow-up. It looks like you sent a question to customer success at Autodesk.com to get, perhaps it sounds like a demo or a benefits discussion around AutoCAD Electrical for your company. We are happy to do that. I've not been sent that directly. I'm not sure where that went. I will follow up with the customer success team to see if somebody else has already taken that. But feel free to email me directly as well, and we can talk through how we'll approach that, because I'm happy to have that discussion with your team. And Matt, do you want to read Tron's?
Yeah, Tiffany, so just a question. When we answer these questions here, I do have an option to say send to all or send privately. So when we say send to all, are you guys able to see the answers? Just want to make sure that those answers are coming through. Okay, good. So Mark is saying yes. I didn't want to provide in the chat and the question pane. Okay.
Oh, that's a good question.
Okay. You said which one, Tiffany? Trond?
Yep, the next one where it's the many customers are running into Vault.
Okay. So many customers are running Vault with unique file names, which is good. And they use the number generator to get unique file names. This works perfectly if you run AutoCAD, AutoCAD Mechanical, etc., where the Vault client takes over the create new drawing process and suggests a new file name. Are there any plans to implement this into AutoCAD Electrical's project manager when we create a new sheet? So from a Vault standpoint, I need to understand the number generator a little bit more. Okay, so when you save inside AutoCAD or Mechanical, yeah, if you do have the file number generator enabled, it will activate. So there's a dialog box that comes up to help build that file name. It's more just a guideline and a standard. You can still cancel out of it and kind of go through the normal save process. So Tiffany, I would say there's probably two different ways. Can you work outside of your project manager inside of Electrical?
You can, it's not recommended, but you can.
So I think the functionality is there at the base AutoCAD level, but like you mentioned, within the project manager, adding new sheets, are we not getting that functionality then? I actually haven't tested that specifically, and that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, so we might have to test that. I've not actually seen that either. Typically the workflow would always be to do it within Electrical, and then that would just get saved back to Vault, not try to do that from Vault. So we'd have to test that, I think.
Yeah, you are always working inside the CAD application for generating the file names. It's just kind of Vault is taking over at that point, but the functionality is not there in the project manager, I believe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search the idea station, see if that idea is already out there, because it very well may be. That seems like that's a pretty common thing maybe. So we'll get back to that one. I'm going to circle back on that one.
Sounds good. All right. Matt, I think the next one is you too.
Okay, anytime I modify my local file, I get an unknown status from the Vault add-in on the project manager. Vault shows the correct status. So the only time I've seen unknown status is if quite possibly your workspace is different than what Vault is saying your workspace should be. So all I can say here is make sure you're logging out, log back in with Vault, the Vault client, as well as inside your AutoCAD session for Vault as well. That might take a little bit of troubleshooting. Is it happening on every single file? Is it just maybe this specific project? From what I've seen, I have seen the unknown status before, but it was because of a specific issue with the workspace. It just wasn't aligned with what Vault was seeing. So I do know that the status icons work inside the project manager, so there must be something unique going on there. So I would just try logging out, logging back in, and see if that clears that up.
Good deal. I saw both Brandon, I'm responding to you. I actually just got your email and I will respond back to you on that via email. So good deal.
And Mark added a comment actually to that. He says they get the unknown status all the time when an XREF is moved to the recycle bin in Vault. When you need to do a workspace sync, but then Vault brings a local copy of the recycle bin to your C drive. So again, it has to do with the local copy of the file. Maybe do another get from Vault to try to refresh that file. Maybe try to just remove it, re-download it, you know, things like that, just to resync that workspace to make sure that the right copy of that file or the latest copy of that file is where it should be. And again, logging out, logging in sometimes will clear up some of those as well. So thank you, Mark. And Tiffany, looks like maybe the next one by Matthew.
Yep.
AutoCAD can now handle multi-line attributes. How can we implement this in electrical specifically when swapping blocks, not on initial insert?
Okay. So this is an ongoing discussion around the multi-line attributes. There have in some cases been support for multi-line attributes within, we often see it within title blocks and wanting to be able to support it that way. Typically, we are not set up within the actual editing interfaces of our insert component dialog box to be able to support the multi-line attributes with just the way that that dialog box is set up. It's an ongoing discussion I have back and forth with the product team. Let me take that offline and see where we are on that, if there are other workarounds that we can give you. It's interesting that you're saying, though, that you want to do it only in swap, not on initial insert. I'd be curious to know why. Because we'd probably want that developed into the block initially, unless it's because you're thinking it's older blocks that you just want to swap older blocks for newer blocks with the multi-line. Just kind of curious what the, or are you just looking specifically for multi-line support in the swap and update block utility? And I'll give you a second to write back to that one so we can circle back on that. Okay. Oh, you're not having the problem at all on initial inserts. It's only during swap. Interesting. That would challenge me to wonder if the block you're swapping for is not set up correctly then. We'd have to probably explore that and test it. I don't have any of mine actually pre-set up with multi-line attributes on them, but I will circle back with that and see if I can't find the answers to that one for you. All right, let's see. So we already answered Mark's right on the unknown status.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the next one, is there a place to hide, or is there a place child, is there a way to place child instances of panel components, just like for a schematic component? So there is actually, if you were to go into the Hoffman enclosures to do an insert on those, it looks like you're looking for front side views, that kind of thing. I obviously already have kind of something here, but let's just pull this off to the side. Let's just take a look. If you look at enclosures and you do, let's find, most of these come in with both. Of course, this one's going to make a liar out of me. I have to find one that actually has it. Most of ours actually come in with that, and it does a special explode as it comes in so that you still have the intelligence of the block itself with all of the attributes it needs, but it breaks apart. I'm not thinking off the top of my head of which ones I have that have it in all aspects. Many of them come in though. Yeah, no, I'm still getting just a door. Many of the Hoffman enclosures, I can tell you right out of the gate, and probably many of the other manufacturers we have the, like I said, front, side, and a lot of times top views connected to them, and they come in doing a special explode where they will break apart the top and the side views to be able to still allow you to have the block as the enclosure, with it only getting one instance of that, but still being able to see all of those pieces come in. So they're not children of it in the sense that you insert them later. They're instead all connected into that same block, but there's a special explode that happens on them to allow for them to break apart into 3 pieces. And that's something you can just build into the block itself. You're mostly talking about the components placed on the mounting plate. I see. So now you want to be able to show, like, for instance, one of these push buttons, you also want to be able to get the side view of it, and that's what you want to be able to make a child of it. Okay. Thank you for saying yes to that. Yeah, so you could develop a separate list of blocks that you could build out as child components. I mean, you could do that. One might argue that you don't even need to make that intelligence because the intelligence only needs to live really in the one. Right, and that's why, and he just wrote, but you don't want it to appear twice in the BOM. Right, you don't. So my advice would be either make it a dummy block that just comes in connected to the other block, much like the rest of the enclosures do, like I was trying to show you. And sorry that I'm not thinking of a part number off the top of my head that actually has all of that. But you could do that where it just does a special explode and the intelligence all lives in the main block, much like you're seeing with these. And then this would just break apart. It would come in with it, but it would just break apart immediately and not carry additional attribute information, because you don't need anything additional. You just need the side view on it. So in the block editor, there is a way to define a special explode on it where it can come in to do that, so that on insert, it does that special explode. Let's see.
Tiffany, you want me to take the one by Mark? I can actually demo this.
Yep, that would be great.
For him.
I will stop.
If you can make me presenter.
Yeah. Make you. Perfect. It is yours.
All right. Okay, and can you see my Vault Pro?
Yep.
Okay, so Mark, your question here is around lifecycle modification. So we have a lifecycle definition, and on one of your transitions, you have a check to require child files to be released when you move to the release state. So I'm going to show you live how to remove that check, because it sounds like you do not want to require that. So what you will do is go to Tools. So try to follow along because I'm going to show this once here. Tools, administration, vault settings. You're going to go to the behaviors tab. You're then going to go to life cycles. And then you're going to find the lifecycle definition that's being used, okay? I'm just going to use the simple release process just because there's 2 states. I'm going to try to keep it simple here. You're going to click edit on that definition. You're then going to go to the transitions tab, and you're going to find that transition that is requiring that check. Then you're going to click edit on that transition. So this is my whip to released transition. You're then going to go to the actions tab, and here I have a check that says look for dependent child files and that they are released. So you would uncheck that, click OK on all your dialog boxes to submit that. So I'm not going to make that change here. I'm just going to cancel out, but that's where you would modify that. So that is the quickest way that I could answer that. So there are admin guides out there, but again, there's a lot of administration stuff. So I just wanted to answer your question directly. So I hope that helps.
Thanks, Matt. All right, let me get back in. All right. Oh, I just thought it's interesting that I lose presenter rates if I give presenter rates. To re-invoke myself. Hold on one second.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, no. Let's see. There we go. Okay, back live, hopefully. All right, good deal. So where did we leave off? Let's see. Okay, so it looks like, are we on, Matt, just keeping me honest, are we on the fusion question?
Yes, I think, well, I think you were working with Lucas, and Lucas might have had one more question, symbol builder, block editor. I think I saw it come in right at the same time that I was answering Mark, but I'm not sure if you finished with that one. If so, then yeah, we are on Jeff.
Yeah, so Lucas, it is a part of the symbol builder and the block editor, since the symbol builder is in the block editor. I will send to this whole group action steps on that, because I'm off the top of my head not remembering if you can just invoke it right in that, or if you have to do it during the, like, what gets coded into it. I will check on the Hoffman enclosures and check on that one for you. So I'll send it to you. And Brandon, thank you for the Hoffman code that is an assembly block. I will take a look at that one if we have some time at the end here and do that. Okay, so Jeff, I'm currently using Fusion 360 with Eagle. Our company is considering purchasing a subscription to AutoCAD to take advantage of the advanced tool sets offered. Does the AutoCAD Electrical toolset support circuit design and simulation as well as integration to mechanical designs? Yes. So yes. So Fusion and Eagle are very much meant to be around electronic design. So it's a lot more about the PCBs, all the circuit boards, that kind of thing. We do circuits within electrical, but they're not in a sense of circuit board creation like that. That's really not the use case for electrical. So when you look at circuits or you look at different things, you might look at a motor circuit like this, but it's not going to be in the PCB style of setup. You could twist electrical to do that, but that's really not its use case. However, we have lots of symbols for electronics, and you can absolutely use it for that if that was needed. We integrate directly with Inventor. So The AutoCAD Electrical to Inventor workflow is called EMX, similar to what we often call the electromechanical workflow between Fusion and Eagle. And it does, it's a one-to-one, it works back and forth. The location view here that I have on my screen allows me to connect this to Inventor to see what Inventor parts are already there. I don't have this one connected, but I can see what is already there. If I'm building this up in assembly form within Inventor, it'll come back into electrical and vice versa. So yes, we absolutely have that interoperability here as well, similar to what you're experiencing with Fusion 360 and Eagle. Good question. For anyone who doesn't know, obviously Eagle was a software that we acquired and then integrated into Fusion, and it is 100% for the circuit board design of things, so around those PCBs. All right. Where are we on? I'm lost a little bit on the question pane. Sorry, Matt, if you could help me get back to where we are.
No, I'm just kind of going through them. I think the last question here by Jeff, he asks, I am currently using Fusion 360 with Eagle.
That's the one I think I just answered. Yep.
Okay, so you're good on that one?
Yep.
Okay. And then I'm talking with Adam right now about his issue with syncing the files to his workspace.
Okay, so you're working on the sync. Okay, got it. Perfect. Okay, good deal. And then Jeff wrote back. Okay, great. Well, I'm glad that answered the question, Jeff. And you're still working with these Adam questions on the side, right? Correct?
Yeah, this one's tough. It's not really just clear cut on maybe what exactly is going on there.
Okay.
I have an idea. It's just it would take some troubleshooting. So I've recommended that, maybe we can get a support ticket in place.
Good idea.
Yeah, Tiffany, do we know how he would find out if he has support contract? He needs to basically talk to his contract manager to see if they have that in place, because he can't just get support automatically, right?
So Adam, well, we can in a lot of different, we just might be different routes that we send it through internally, Matt. So Adam, why don't you send Matt and I an email directly with your contact info, because we don't always see all that from the GoToWebinar pane. I can just see your name. So if you can send that, and then we will help you figure out the right channels to take this question through if we need to do a troubleshoot with you.
Yep, perfect.
All right, and then, so I actually think we made it to the bottom of our list, but we wanted to circle back on the questions from last time as well. Well, never mind, because we just got a new one coming on this one live, so that's good. So Matt, it looks like, hopefully you don't mind me calling you Matt. I see in here that you just said Matthew, so I will change that, Matthew. We use electrical with Vault. Where should we put our catalog database? So this is a great question. It's one we, I think, address often in this webinar, so it's a very good question and obviously top of mind for many people. The most basic implementation of AutoCAD Electrical and Vault is purely just connecting the drawings and the project files within Vault and managing those that way. That's the most simplistic implementation of it. I am a huge proponent of the full implementation of AutoCAD Electrical and Vault, which is vaulting all of your support files. So that would include the catalog database, that would include your symbol libraries, that would include all of that. And you would actually set up your deployment of electrical to link to your C drive, to your Vault workspace area, so that it's always looking there for all of those support files. And you would automatically bring down all of those support files from the Vault to your computer. There's a lot of different ways to do that. There's manual, there's VGETs, there's different opportunities to be able to do that. But that way you're always getting the chance to work locally. So you have the ability to work without having to connect into the network and everything else. But you're getting the benefit and the backup of it all living in the Vault and everybody having the same one, and then being able to put file permissions on that for only librarians at your company to actually set up and edit the catalog database, the symbol libraries, and all the other support files that we have. So I am a huge fan of that. I absolutely believe that it should live in your Vault, and then that you should just have it pointing, all of your electrical files would be pointing to your C drive, to your Vault workspace where you could pull that information down. And Matt, if you have anything to add to that, please feel free because you are the vault expert, not me. So,
No, I think you pretty much covered it there.
okay.
He did mention that he lost you there. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure at what point, but yeah, basically keeping that catalog inside the vault, but then syncing it locally to your machine obviously is the best of both worlds, right? You get the
Yep,
local access, but then also it's in one common environment that everybody's looking at. So it's just
exactly.
a matter of syncing from the master, and the local clients or the PCs are the slaves, right? So they're just pulling that information. And let me just, since this is also a Vault question, Matthew just added this one. Can other users with Vault Office licenses access the catalog database also? As far as I know, so Tiffany, can you clarify exactly what's inside the catalog database? Are those DWGs?
No, the catalog database is a Microsoft Access database file. The DWGs would be what's in all the symbol libraries.
Okay, so I know Vault Office allows you access to every single file within the Vault,
Okay.
but however, it doesn't allow you to do checkout, check-in on CAD files. You can do checkout, check-in on your Office type documents. You know, it could be Outlook messages, it could be Word, Excel, that type of stuff. So as far as access to the catalog database, also, that I'm gonna say no, but don't hold me to that. I'd have to look into that a little bit further because I
mean,
know the
access,
Office license.
yeah. I would think the access database would be allowed with the Office license, but probably not going into the symbol libraries, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
I'd have
and
to
he's
look
saying that
into
you're
that.
looking at using SQL for your database and you'd like to integrate it with the other groups outside of just AutoCAD Electrical users. Yeah, so the SQL side of it would be a different animal, right? So your SQL support of the catalog database could be on the same SQL server that's running your Vault instance, but it wouldn't. Now you're not vaulting that because you're already doing it via SQL. So two different workflows there. So I
Right,
would
the
assume
database lives
access would
inside
be, yeah,
SQL. Yeah.
exactly. Good questions, Matthew.
All right, and Mark has a question about VAO. So
Interesting.
VAO is our Vault Enterprise add-on. It's a set of tools built by consulting. It's requests that we've had over the years, and it's just additional functionality that sits on top of the Vault. So the question is, does VAO include a PDF viewer add-in to the ribbon bar for, say, Adobe, when I make and edit a PDF to check it into Vault from PDF program? Right now, we just use Vault to do the add files and check in PDFs in that way. So no, VAO does not have an add-in or a toolbar for Adobe currently. So the workflow that you are using, Mark, just the manual check-in, check-out from Vault, and then using Adobe to make your edits or just add files through Vault is the only thing that we have available right now. So not sure
And
the reason on why or why not as far as having that ribbon inside Adobe, but yeah, we do not have that.
I would add that I would challenge you to build your PDFs off of what AutoCAD Electrical does natively. So if you're going to send the project file to a PDF, I would actually use why am I not getting my right click? There we go. I would actually use our publish to PDF options, because that way you're actually going to be able to do the full project file with hyperlinks to get the intelligent PDFs that Electrical offers. And I think that's a far better way to go than trying to invoke that through a different PDF control. So just a tip from me to you on that one, because you're going to get a lot more functionality out of those hyperlinks.
Good.
All right. Okay. So Matthew, it sounds like, yep, you're an enterprise customer, and so you're looking to get full guidance on integrating SQL, Vault, Electrical, and all those other things. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, again, if you want to send Matt and I an email and just talk about that, you know, we can get you in touch with the right people that support you from an enterprise standpoint to drive those conversations forward. And I'm sure that they will pull Matt and I into those as well. So happy to help facilitate that. Okay, Brandon, let's see. Also adding the command to the oh wait, let's go back up. So I think we skipped over your initial question. Insert a terminal schematic list will show a dash or an X, but does not show an O, a mismatch of information as detected, like the wire number has changed on the schematic, so the terminal needs to be updated. Any way to detect this information mismatch? I was hoping it would work like panel schematic list. And then you also adding the command to the reissue unique terminal identification housed in the X data. Only way to get this to happen is using the copy drawing in the project manager. The problem is if you're overriding the drawing, this prompt will not happen. Okay, so I might actually ask you, if you're willing to share your screen, I'd almost like to see what you're specifically looking at. Right out of the top of my head, I'm wondering if you running an electrical audit and looking for the terminal duplication, if you think that there's a mismatch or a duplication in that sense, you might get it to pull from this terminal error. Not positive on that though, because I'm not sure I fully understand where you're looking for. If you're just trying to insert like the insert schematic or insert schematics from panel lists, if you're just trying to get them linked to one another, we'd have to test what you're looking for there. I'd love to see an example. If you didn't mind sharing, we can give you control. Yep, you can absolutely talk. So let's give you access to do that. Let's do Brandon, let me give you, so I have unmuted you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, so my question is, when I'm checking drawings, I've got, say a terminal number has changed from when they inserted the terminals into the layout, and for some reason a terminal number or wire number got changed, so some terminals changed.
Okay.
I was under the impression that if I was to go into panel, terminal, footprint, insert terminal from the schematic list, since it comes up, you can tell it, and surf the project, and it'll come up saying, you know, X's, that everything's in there. Dash means that it's not in there. Zero or an O usually means that there's some sort of information mismatch. But I've tested it on, and I've put in a terminal. Everything comes back with an X. Then I change the wire number in the schematics and then run that again, and it still says that it's an X. I'm looking for some report or something that says, hey, there's some information that's not correct between your terminal on your layout and your terminal on your schematic anymore. And also,
okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Without basically rebuilding everything.
Right.
Because I'm going through and checking people's drawings.
Okay. So here's my advice. This is where you should be linking to what everything in the schematic is to the terminal.
Correct. And that's how we build.
Okay.
But I'm looking for something that if you go into, say, if you pull up the terminal footprints and hit cancel, now get out of that one and just go into there. There's an actual, so pull down the menu on terminal footprints.
Yep.
And that guy right there. And it's going to look through your entire schematics.
Yeah.
And you can say, you know, mark existing, and they're usually an X.
Yeah.
So there's some zeros in there, but I can't seem to be able to get the zeros to pop up saying, I'd like to just have some report that says, hey, you need to go take a look at these terminals because there's some sort of information that is out of sync from the schematic side.
So the zeros mean that, yeah, there's something that's not not connected there, that they're showing something different than the other one is showing. I would typically solve all of those with a project-wide update and retag of everything,
But
so
that
that
doesn't solve the terminals though.
it should.
It'll solve it but it doesn't update a terminal, does it? From a footprint?
It should.
Oh, well, I'll have to go test that then.
Test it. If it doesn't work for you, let's come back and circle back on it, because I'd like to see, because you can also, if the footprint already exists, you can always do a edit footprint or edit the entire terminal strip.
Yep.
And you can re-invoke that it should pick up, because this full terminal strip editor, this is pulling from the schematic. It's pulling all of the information. So it should have the most updated information, where then if you do an update, you should also get that.
Correct. The only problem that I think we run into is bubbling. So now if you have bubbles on there, you're basically reinserting your terminals, and I don't think it reassociates the bubble to the actual block. So then you're deleting out bubbles and re-putting those back.
Talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
your balloons. So I'm just trying to look for, hey, I don't want to reinsert everything because that's a pain.
Yeah.
I want to be able to run a report that says
I've never seen the
there's some
balloons
information.
not react to an update. We'd have to test a little bit. I'd want to test it on your drawings, because the balloons are linked to the footprints. So they should stay with them even through an update, unless the footprint part number is changing. But as long as there's actually an item number for those, that should update too. I'd be curious to see where the break is happening. Yeah.
But the follow-up is that if we could add in the command, so when you copy in, say you have you're adding in another input card, and put to a blank slot, say on a control objects rack.
Yeah.
I'm taking an input card and using the copy drawing. And if that drawing already exists in the project, it doesn't invoke the, hey, I found duplicate terminal identification numbers. Do you want to make these unique? It basically just copies it and overrides it. But it will work if you don't have that in the that drawing's a completely new drawing. So I'd like to be able to have a command that essentially invokes that, or either doesn't care about if the drawing already exists in the project, because we're having problems of terminals becoming essentially associated in two places because we're using that copy function and overwriting an existing drawing in a project.
But not updating the terminal strip to be something different, so that it doesn't
Correct.
see it as being duplicated. Okay. The audit should catch those. You'd have to make the edits to them then, though, if you.
Yeah, then I have to essentially delete out the terminals or kick the drawing out of the project, bring it back in. Then it detects that there's duplicate terminals. But then I lose all my project drawing specific data, which then I have to put back in.
Yeah, no, that seems like a funky workflow. I think we should be able to invoke that via the audit and then make those edits as needed without you having to blow away everything that you have there and still have it associate with the project.
Correct, but I can't find that command to be able to do that.
That would just be directly in that audit. So if you go to the audit, and like I said, we might need to unpack this more. If you want to come with a drawing to the next one, we could maybe look at this even deeper. But like if I were to look at where I'm seeing a duplicate, I should be able to just double click on that and be zoomed. Is it stalling? There we go, right up on it. And I should be able to go in and edit that as needed to adjust if I need to switch out what the tag strip is or change the terminal number or increase it. Now, if you use our copy tools within it, like if you're copying it because you need it to be a part of the same terminal strip but increase numbers, we have options for that. When you copy the circuit, you can say, I want these terminal numbers to increase.
Yeah, so this is in the X data though. There's some unique identification in every terminal that associates it with, I guess, a footprint. And it doesn't matter. It's not really a wire number or anything that you can change easily. It seems like it's an actual behind the scenes identification number of what that terminal is, because you can have, if you have a layout with some terminals in it and you delete that terminal out, it still technically exists in that footprint terminal schematic, and it'll show up as blank until you actually delete it out. So I'm going to assume that it's that information that I'm trying to, that's causing my problem. Is what information is that? Is that detection that it's found a duplicate terminal? It doesn't seem like it's based on wire number or terminal strip number or anything like that.
It's based off of terminal number and the tag strip associated. That's where it sees duplicates. It's not by wire number, because you could in theory have a new wire number, but have the terminal number be duplicated on it, and so that's where it triggers that. Now, a lot of this stuff does live in Xdata because we don't typically have all those attributes sitting on panel, especially panel footprints. It just comes over crossed in as Xdata that lives on it, but that's all updated and connected to the schematics. There's nothing that you should have to manually edit on the Xdata. So that's an interesting conundrum if you're not seeing that work via the automatic. Try the project-wide updates, work through that audit and see if that fixes it. If it doesn't, let's circle back on this and see if this is something deeper. I mean, it may be that you found a bug that I'm unaware of, but let's unpack that a little bit further.
Yeah, I'll dig into it for next time. Thanks.
Okay, perfect, thanks. All right, where are we, Matt? I think we're under marks, right?
Yeah, so
okay.
Actually, no, I think Brandon.
I just did Brandon's.
I don't know if it answered his additional question though, right underneath Matthew.
It did. That was
okay.
The full.
Both
Yep. Okay. That was all connected.
Yep. So then Mark's very large composite.
Okay, so I have very large composites that have about 50 or more 3D XREFs. When I make a PDF, I only want to do a 2D PDF without layers. I have gone through all the different ways to send a PDF and a composite to the reduced file size and load it, but I still, okay. So Mark, it sounds like you're doing a whole lot more with your PDFs than what a typical electrical environment would have in it. So perhaps my goal with you getting to be able to do hyperlinked PDFs through electrical may not work if you have that many XREFs happening in the background and all in 3D. That could definitely be challenging. I'd want to test it, but I see your response back on that one. Okay, Heath. Any way to reset the wire number format for all ladders in a project? Right now, if the ladder wire number format does not match the drawing wire number format, the ladder format acts as an override, but the only way to find that format differs if you examine the ladders or notice that the wire numbers don't match the drawing format. Okay. Little bit to unpack there. I might not fully understand everything you're asking. We might need to unmute you to talk about it, but let's talk about ladder format in general. So at a project level, under the properties, you can define in your drawing format what you want your ladder reference numbers to be. And you could do this project wide if you wanted to set them all to the same thing, and then to override existing drawings, because as you guys I'm sure all know on here, drawing properties override project properties in the sense that you are supposed to start with the project that copies into the drawings, but then if you manually override a setting that's at the drawing level, then that drawing now owns that drawing's own properties, overriding the rest. However, you can grab all of your drawings in a shift select and you can tell it to apply project defaults to it. So if you wanted to override something that's already existing, you can do that. So that would be my first case of how you could do an override on your ladder formats. However, in that same project update and retag, you can do a resequence of all ladder numbers and then set up how you want those reference numbers to start. So if you're doing like sheet number and drawing number and then the ladder structure, you can put that in there as replaceable parameters and then tell it to skip every 100. So if you're doing like 100, 200, 300, 400 as you go through your drawings, you can tell it to skip to drawing counts by 100s. So those are potential options to be able to fix that. So Lucas, how do you change the length of a placed DIN rail in the panel view after placing it already? So DIN rails, for anybody who's never seen them, look like this. And you can come in and choose any of your DIN rails, and then you can update. You can actually draw the length. You know, you can say you want it to be 8 inches long, or you can just manually draw it. I'm going to do a vertical. Oh, come on. Oh, stop. Okay. So I'm going to tell it I want it to be 20 inches long. Drop that in there. All right. So if you're here, this, you can extend it. That's what these grips allow. You can move it around, or you can do a stretch on it. So you can, I've also had people, oh, it's not going to let me do it. Come on. I often would tell you to redraw them as well if you really have to change the length of them, because that's, you're wanting to pick up more than likely the actual length. I have a lot of customers who actually change these DIN rail blocks to being dynamic to allow for stretching. I thought that this Allen Bradley one actually had that stretch capability, and obviously you saw that it wasn't going to let me do that without exploding it. And if any of you have taken a class from me ever, you'll know exploding is a terrible, terrible word to me, because you do not want to explode your DIN rails, because now it's not going to show up in your list, in your catalog list. So my advice is, if you think that you're going to need to be stretching and rechanging sizes of them a lot afterwards, turn these into dynamic blocks that allow for that stretch. If that's not something you typically do, then they're fine how they are, and just draw them at the lengths that you need, especially if you're doing bracket pieces of them that you want to break off. So that would be, yeah. So Lucas, to your question, if you need the hole patterns, the NC hole patterns, that would be setting that up dynamically so that it automatically updates to pick that hole pattern appropriately. It would be setting up the stretch so it knows how to do that and do the array that it needs to do with those. Absolutely can be done, just up to you. I get a lot of questions around dynamic blocks being supported in electrical, and there's a lot of feelings out there that they're not. And that really comes down to the swap update block utility, because in many ways what happens in the background of a dynamic block is that if it's been dynamically switched to something else, that can sometimes change the block name. So if you're doing a project-wide search and a swap, you will hear from some people that you don't get dynamic block support in that sense. Outside of that potentially happening, and that all depends on how you're building your dynamic blocks, there's really no reason you can't utilize dynamic blocks inside of AutoCAD Electrical. So just a little tip from me to all of you on that one. All right, thanks Mark for the questions. It sounds like you had to drop. Is there one more on here? Oh, it was Mark's, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, around the XREFs. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Good deal. Well, I actually think we made it through all of the questions today. So thank you, Matt, for your help on that one. And thank you to all of you for all of your questions. We did not get to address still the open questions from the last time, but I will definitely hold on to those for our next meetup. And any of you that I said that I'd follow up with afterwards, or that if I asked you to send me an email, please do that. And then I will follow up with you so that we can get the rest of your questions answered. I think there was somebody who needed support, as well as perhaps an open webinar demo, or conversation with your full team around electrical implementation. So we will definitely take those offline. Brandon, let me know how the testing of those terminals go, and we can see if maybe that's something that we can take as an action item for the next one as well. But once again, thank you all for your help. I hope you all are staying safe and healthy in this time where we're probably, if you were all sharing your cameras right now, you're probably all working from home. And I wish you all best wishes and health in this kind of crazy time that we are in right now. So thank you again for all your questions, and thank you, Matt. I will see you all later.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.